Danger Dolan. From Bermuda Triangles to Stonehenge lightning bolts, we uncover 15 of the most mysterious, strangest disappearances ever to get extraterrestrial and speculation enthusiasts riled up.
Number 15.
Harold Holt, 1967, Victoria, Australia. Former Prime Minister Harold Holt, an accomplished swimmer, went for a dip at Cheviot Beach near Portsea. The 59-year-old was never seen again. Speculation ranged from a fake of his own death to get away from his mistress, to abduction in a Chinese submarine, to abduction by aliens. But in 2005, it was officially ruled by a coroner that the cause of death was accidental drowning, which is a conclusion that doesn't require a whiteboard and 2 hours to explain.
Number 14.
The Bennington Triangle, 1950s, a town in Vermont called Bennington. People disappear in a large triangle formation across the area. At least 9 disappearances, all within 5 years of each other. Mr. Tedford was sleeping on a crowded bus, 14 other passengers, but when it reached its destination, he was gone, although his luggage and timetable remained. An 8-year-old boy disappears from a farm, even though his mother was meters away tending to animals. If you would like to see a full list of other disappearances in the Bennington area, refer to the link below this video.
Number 13.
The Lost Eskimo Village, 1930. A local fur trapper near Lake Anjikuni in Canada frequents a small village in the snow. But one day he visits the town only to discover everyone is missing, with a number of sled dog corpses strewn here and there. The story goes that it was as if every human soul had vanished on the spot in the midst of what they were doing at the time. And even one of the graves had been emptied, leading some to speculate aliens had been involved and abducted every single person in the town, alive or dead. It's turned into an urban legend, and some have dubbed the town Roswell North.
Number 12.
Azaria Chamberlain, 1980, one you should already be familiar with if you've ever heard the phrase, "the dingo took my baby." For the longest time, it was believed the mother, Lindy Chamberlain, had killed the baby for personal reasons and blamed a dingo. She spent 3 years in prison before a piece of the baby's clothing was found in the dingo's lair. And in 2012, it was officially recognized that a dingo really had eaten the baby, and a death certificate was printed.
Number 11.
Raoul Wallenberg. The man that disappeared was a hero in Sweden, a diplomat that single-handedly saved 20,000 Hungarian Jews during the Holocaust. He was last seen arrested on espionage charges in Budapest after the Soviet army showed up around about 1947. It's believed that he may have been executed by the Russians, but no evidence ever turned up, and people have spoken of his survival in Soviet prisons as recent as the 1980s, although he must be dead by now.
Number 10.
The Fort Worth 3, 1974. 3 girls, all under 18 years of age, went shopping in Fort Worth, Texas. None of them returned home, despite the fact they'd finished shopping and their locked car was loaded with presents. The next day, a letter arrived to one of the girls' families that they'd taken off to Houston and would be back in a week, yet they still never turned up again. It's been speculated that the girls had not actually written the letter, and that a mysterious van had picked them up at Fort Worth, but this was never confirmed.
Number 9.
The Stonehenge Hippies, 1971, the famous Stonehenge pillars of England. Before the stones were officially protected from the public, a small group of hippies decided to set up camp in the center. At around 2 a.m. in the next morning, a thunderstorm brewed over the area, bolts striking trees and even the stones themselves. 2 witnesses, a farmer and a policeman, saw an intense blue light in Stonehenge. The hippies screamed and instantly vanished. It was speculated they were struck by lightning, but surprisingly their camp was perfectly intact. There wasn't a single indication of bones, blood or death. They were just gone.
Number 8.
The USS Cyclops, 1918. A US Navy vessel departs Rio de Janeiro carrying 11,000 tons of manganese ore led by Commander George Worley. En route to Baltimore, it vanishes without a trace, just like 2 other sister ships which also vanished in the North Atlantic during World War II, carrying the same cargo. Theory suggests they might have sunk from excessive weight, or they might have been taken over by Germans looking to steal the ore. There's no definitive answer, but the most popular theory, the Bermuda Triangle had taken a few more victims.
Number 7.
D.B. Cooper, 1971, one of the most famous skyjackings ever. Dan Cooper boarded a Northwest Orient Airplanes Flight 305 to Seattle, Tacoma. 30 minutes into the flight, Cooper told a flight attendant he had a bomb, that he wanted $200,000 in cash and 4 parachutes. At Seattle-Tacoma, he let the passenger hostages go. He got his money and the parachutes. He informed the pilots to fly to Mexico City, where he jumped from the plane at 10,000 feet over southwestern Washington. Following this, Cooper disappeared forever with his money, leading to hundreds of books, films, and songs dedicated to Cooper's feat.
Number 6.
Owen Parfitt, 1763, Shepton Mallet, England. Owen had been paralyzed from a stroke, and one night he was sitting out the front of his sister's house in view of some workers across the road. Later that night, Owen's sister turned up to move him back into the house, but he was gone, vanished. Nothing but his coat remained. Investigations were carried out, but nobody could explain how this immobilized man managed to disappear into the night in full view of some workers.
Number 5.
The Jameson family, 2009, a recent one. Bobby Jameson, his wife and 6-year-old daughter vanished on a road in the rural area of Oklahoma. The story goes they left their truck to look at some plot of land but never returned. The dog in the truck was found almost dead of malnutrition, along with the family's coats and $32,000 lying under the seat. Prior to this event, the Jamesons had reported seeing ghosts in their house, and speculation included whether they'd gone off to commit murder-suicide, but nothing was ever confirmed. They're still missing to this day.
Number 4.
Mary Celeste, a ghost ship that washed up in the Atlantic Ocean 1872. All 7 of the crew members had vanished, and the life raft was gone, leading most to believe they'd evacuated for one reason or another. However, a lot of essential survival gear had been left behind, the ship's cargo and valuables untouched, which ruled out a pirate hijacking, so why would they abandon ship? The most popular theory is that there might have been an earthquake out at sea, a little water on the deck, people might have panicked in a hurry, took the raft and died at sea, but we'll never actually be sure.
Number 3.
The crew of the Sarah Joe, 1979, 5 men in a little fishing boat known as the Sarah Joe. This took place in the Hawaiian islands of Maui. A storm blew up and all men were lost at sea, which would have been a nice end to the story had it ended there. In 1988, a shallow grave was found on an island 2,000 miles away, and in it was buried the body of one of the fishermen. But then, who buried him? A lengthy sweep of the island revealed nothing. What happened to the other survivors? Because there must have been some. Nobody knows.
Number 2.
The entire Nazca civilization, 500 AD. A flourishing society in Peru along the river valleys Rio Grande de Nazca and Ica Valley. Over 250 years, this bustling group of people responsible for beautiful crafts, technologies, ceramics, textiles, and geoglyphs was entirely exterminated. How? It's a mystery, but clues point to a massive flood known as El Nino, coupled with their disregard for maintaining forests that led to soil erosion, no more food, and death.
Number 1.
Amelia Earhart, very well known. She was an author, teacher, fashion designer, and cigarette spokesperson. She was basically famous at the time of her disappearance aboard her plane flying over the Pacific Ocean in 1937. At the time, she had been attempting a round-the-world flight, but en route to Howland Island, she vanished, leading to one of the most intensive and expensive searches in the history of America. Nobody ever found her, but she became a popular subject of science fiction, that she might have been abducted by aliens and whisked away to wake up far in the future. That is it for this countdown. Have a good one.